Appreciate a chance to be with all of you this evening. I hope I can share a story worthy of this event. When I was asked to do this talk and
Famous for surviving in the wild and running Turtle Island Preserve, Eustace Conway has always lived a life full of secrets and mystery. Now, after many months, Eustace Conway finally breaks his silence, and it's bad. What caused him to speak now? Can Turtle Island survive these threats? Join us as we explore the details of this revelation. The moment everything changed. The moment Eustace Conway broke his silence marked a clear change in how people viewed his situation. For a long period, he had not shared any major updates about his life or the condition of Turtle Island Preserve. His long absence from public statements created its own form of quiet tension, because people who followed his work understood that he only spoke when something meaningful was happening. When news finally spread that he had spoken again, many were surprised. His lifestyle is rooted in privacy, self-reliance, and a deep respect for nature, so he usually communicates only when there is a serious reason. That was why this new message stood out. It carried urgency, and it carried weight. The first signs that something important was happening could be felt in the tone of the announcement. People who had followed him for many years noted that he rarely speaks in public settings and has always preferred to focus on his land, his programs, and the skills he teaches. His communication style is usually calm and measured, but this time it felt different. There was a sense of pressure behind his words, and even though he did not share unnecessary details, the seriousness was clear. Those who knew the background of his struggles with legal issues, land regulations, and financial pressure understood that this silence-breaking moment needed careful attention. As news spread, the public reaction grew quickly. Viewers who had watched him on Mountain Men wanted to know more. Fans of his teachings and students who had visited Turtle Island Preserve became concerned. Many people who admired his commitment to natural living felt that this update was more than a casual message. Within a short time, people began discussing what might have pushed him to speak. Platforms that track public interest showed a rise in searches about him, his preserve, and his legal troubles. Discussions appeared on social media, and even people who had not followed him closely were drawn in by the seriousness surrounding his announcement. The confusion came mostly from the fact that he had been quiet for so long. People who understood his way of life knew he prefers actions over constant updates. That made this moment even more meaningful. The general public sensed that this was not a routine update or a simple check-in. Instead, it felt like a turning point. His tone suggested that something significant was affecting his preserve, his programs, or his ability to continue the work that had defined his life for many decades. Because of this, the reaction grew beyond his usual audience and reached a wider group of people who were curious about off-grid living, land protection, and the pressures faced by those who choose a different lifestyle. This moment matters for several reasons. First, Eustace has a strong influence in the survivalist world. Many people see him as a living example of self-sufficiency and resilience. When someone with that level of experience makes a serious announcement, the community pays attention. Second, Turtle Island Preserve is not just a piece of land. It is a place where traditional skills are taught, where people learn about nature, and where hundreds of visitors have experienced a more grounded way of life. Anything that threatens its stability is immediately important to those who value old knowledge and hands-on learning. Third, this announcement marks a shift in the long journey he has been on. After years of building, teaching, and struggling with regulations and financial pressure, his decision to speak suggests that the situation reached a level that required public awareness. This major shift opens the door to understanding the man behind the message. But who is the man behind the silence, and what shaped him into the figure the world knows today? The man behind the silence, understanding Eustace Conway, requires looking back at the experiences that shaped him. His life began with a strong connection to nature. As a child, he was known for exploring outdoor spaces and spending long hours observing the natural world. This early attraction to open land helped shape his sense of independence. He often sought freedom in simple activities like hiking, watching wildlife, and learning about natural materials. This foundation influenced almost every decision he made later in life. Even at a young age, he enjoyed experiencing life through physical effort and practical skills rather than relying on modern conveniences. During his teenage years, he practiced primitive living techniques that many people only read about. He spent extended periods outdoors, using traditional tools and learning how to survive with limited supplies. These experiences taught him discipline, patience, and the ability to stay calm in challenging situations. He also developed a deep respect for the older ways of living that existed before modern systems took over. These early skills became the core of his identity, shaping him into someone who believed that nature offered the best lessons. Many important moments from this period influenced his belief that people benefit from learning to live simply and responsibly. His education supported these values. He studied subjects connected to the natural world, human culture, and the skills used by earlier generations. His academic background helped him understand not only how people survived in the past, but also why those skills mattered. Over time, he formed strong personal beliefs about independence and self-sufficiency. He felt that modern comfort often separates people from reality, weakening their ability to think clearly and handle real challenges. Because of this belief, he made a conscious decision to reject many modern conveniences and focus on living in a way that demanded effort, awareness, and responsibility. His values extended to the way he interacted with others. He always preferred actions over long explanations. His personality is shaped by discipline and intensity. He works with focus and expects the same from the people who learn from him. He is determined and often pushes himself physically and mentally to maintain the lifestyle he believes in. His approach to teaching is direct, and he often demonstrates skills rather than describing them. This makes his recent public statement even more meaningful, because it goes against his usual pattern of speaking only when necessary. His reputation in the survivalist community grew long before he appeared on television. People recognized him as someone who lived the skills he taught. He was not presenting ideas from a distance. Instead, he built shelters, traveled through wilderness areas, harvested food from the land, and lived with minimal reliance on modern tools. These experiences earned him respect from students, researchers, and others interested in primitive living. His name became linked to authenticity. When he finally entered the public eye through Mountain Men, he was already known among those who valued traditional skills. But how did his commitment to off-grid living evolve into the creation of a full preserve built from the ground up? Building a life off the grid. The creation of Turtle Island Preserve reflects the clear purpose that guided Eustace Conway for many years. After spending much of his early life learning primitive skills, he wanted a permanent space where these skills could survive in a modern world. He believed that people needed real experiences with nature to understand their own abilities. His goal was not just to live off the land, but to teach others how to do the same. This belief led him to establish Turtle Island Preserve in the hills of North Carolina. The location offered natural resources, open land, and enough space to build a community based on older traditions. The early days of the preserve required hard work and patience. The land needed careful preparation before anything else could happen. There were thick forests to manage, trails to clear, and areas to shape for structures and farming. Building the first shelters required long hours of labor, traditional tools, and teamwork. Many of the buildings were made with logs, stone, and other natural materials gathered directly from the land. This approach matched his values but required a level of effort that few people experience. Financial strain was also present in these early years. Running a preserve, maintaining land, and gathering supplies cost more than many expected. He had to rely on small earnings, personal savings, and various teaching programs to keep the work going. The purpose of Turtle Island has always been clear. It serves as a hands-on learning space for people who want to reconnect with traditional skills. Students learn survival techniques such as fire building, food preservation, tool making, and shelter construction. Crafting is also a major part of the experience, including leatherwork, wood carving, pottery, and metalwork. The preserve supports traditional farming methods where crops are grown without modern chemicals or machines. Animal care is included as well, with goats, horses, and chickens often forming part of the community structure. Environmental education is woven into every activity, teaching people how natural systems work and how to interact with them respectfully. Various programs welcome different groups of people. Students come for workshops to learn individual skills. Visitors join seasonal programs to see how the preserve functions. Apprentices commit longer periods to assist with building, farming, and teaching. Volunteers also help with maintenance, event preparation, and daily tasks. The preserve offers experiences that have become rare in modern society. Eustace wanted people to reconnect with nature not through screens or lectures, but through real work, fresh air, and shared purpose. Life inside Turtle Island follows natural rhythms. Seasonal changes affect everything. In spring, the community focuses on planting, repairing winter damage, and preparing buildings. Summer brings long workdays filled with farming, trail maintenance, and teaching programs. Autumn focuses on harvesting, storing food, and preparing for colder weather. Winter slows certain activities but adds tasks like chopping wood, repairing tools, and caring for animals. Every season has its own responsibilities, and the community members adjust to each shift with a sense of respect for the land. Daily life at the preserve includes cooking meals with simple ingredients, sharing tasks, and taking turns with chores such as gathering water, tending fires, and caring for animals. Everyone contributes to the work. There is no separation between teaching and living because each day offers a new lesson. The atmosphere is quiet, grounded, and purposeful. People from across the country visit because they want to escape the noise of their daily routines. They want to learn skills that bring a sense of calm, confidence, and connection. The preserve began gaining recognition as visitors shared their experiences. Journalists came to document the lifestyle and write about the unique structure of the community. Documentary teams explored the land, filmed activities, and introduced Eustace's work to larger audiences. These projects helped people understand that Turtle Island was not a themed attraction. It was a working preserve built through effort, knowledge, and respect for nature. Many people found it inspiring because it represented something real in a world filled with shortcuts and fast solutions. Others admired it because it reminded them of skills that existed long before modern technology. This growing attention eventually caught the eye of television producers. What started as small media interest slowly grew into larger opportunities. The authenticity of the preserve and the strength of the skills taught there made it stand out. People were curious about the man who built a life that many only imagine. As Turtle Island reached more viewers, it set the stage for the next major shift in his journey. This leads to an important question. How did a quiet man living off the land become a central figure on national television? When cameras arrived, Eustace Conway's move into television began when producers of Mountain Men searched for individuals who lived truly self-reliant lives. They wanted people who represented traditional survival skills and who depended on the land for daily living. Eustace fit that description without effort. His entire life reflected the values the show wanted to highlight. His work at Turtle Island, his teaching programs, and his long history of living off the grid made him an ideal candidate. Producers approached him because he demonstrated authentic skills based on real experience, not staged activities. His decision to join the show did not come quickly. He had hesitation about stepping into the public eye. His life had always focused on action, discipline, and quiet service to nature. The idea of cameras following his daily work felt unusual. He cared more about maintaining the rhythm of the preserve than participating in entertainment. However, he also saw an opportunity. The show could help more people understand the importance of traditional skills. It could bring attention to Turtle Island and preserve knowledge that might otherwise fade away. With this in mind, he agreed to take part. What made him different from other cast members was the raw honesty of his lifestyle. Many viewers quickly noticed that his routines were not created for television. They were part of a structure he had followed for decades. Every task he performed came from experience and a deep relationship with the land. His skills were hands-on and lived, not practiced for a camera. This level of authenticity gave the show a strong anchor. Fans respected him because his work represented real mastery. National fame created fast changes. Attention grew sharply as viewers connected with his way of living. Many people wanted to learn more about survival skills, and the show led them to look for workshops, classes, and visiting experiences. The number of visitors and requests increased as people felt drawn to Turtle Island. Some wanted to observe, while others wanted to participate directly in programs and summer experiences. Fame brought benefits. The preserve gained support, interest, and recognition. More people learned about traditional farming, crafting, and environmental education because they saw it on television. The exposure helped raise awareness about the challenges and responsibilities of off-grid living. It also brought potential volunteers and students who wanted to learn directly from him. However, fame also came with challenges. With more public attention, there was more pressure. Some viewers misunderstood his methods or judged them without understanding the context. There were unrealistic expectations about what off-grid living should look like. The public sometimes reacted strongly to small details that were normal in traditional lifestyles but unfamiliar to modern viewers. Increased attention also added stress to his daily routines because he still had to run a fully preserve, manage land, and teach programs while meeting filming obligations. Behind the scenes, Balancing filming with preserving responsibilities became difficult. Running Turtle Island requires constant effort, from maintaining buildings to caring for the land. Filming interrupted routines, slowed down certain tasks, and demanded flexibility that did not always match natural rhythms. There was tension between the pace of television production and the slower, grounded pace of the preserve. Hollywood storytelling focuses on drama, while his lifestyle focuses on purpose. This difference created conflicts that he had to handle carefully. He also wanted to remain genuine. He refused to change his methods simply to satisfy cameras. Maintaining authenticity required strength because the media often favors dramatic moments. Even with these challenges, he continued demonstrating real practices. His commitment to honesty shaped his presence on the show. The growing scale of the preserve added to the strain. More visitors required more supervision. Legal responsibilities, land management, public programs, and financial demands increased. Media attention did not reduce any of this workload. Instead, it added another layer. Over time, the pressure affected his energy, emotions, and ability to rest. Misunderstandings from viewers added emotional wear, as some people criticized aspects of his lifestyle without knowing the full picture. Despite these struggles, he continued teaching, building, and running his programs because they were deeply important to him. His dedication never faded, even as the expectations placed on him continued growing. So, what challenges did he face behind the scenes that the public rarely saw, and how did they begin shaping the battles that came next? Hidden battles he could not escape. Eustace Conway's life, off the grid, has always looked peaceful from the outside, but the challenges surrounding Turtle Island Preserve have been real and heavy. Many people only saw the calm side of his lifestyle, yet behind that calm were difficulties that grew year after year. These problems began quietly, but they later became serious enough to threaten the future of the preserve he spent decades building. One of his biggest struggles involved legal trouble connected to building codes and safety rules. Local officials questioned the way his cabins and teaching spaces were built because he used traditional methods instead of modern construction standards. His hand-built structures were created with natural materials, simple tools, and historic techniques. To him, they were safe, reliable, and true to his values. To the authorities, they did not meet current regulations. Inspectors pointed out structural concerns, ventilation issues, and the absence of modern plumbing and electrical systems in some areas. This clash was not personal. It came from a system that did not know how to handle a place built in the old way. The preserve was designed to show people how early Americans lived, but modern rules had no category for that kind of environment. As a result, Eustace was required to make changes that were expensive and difficult. The legal demands placed a heavy burden on his finances. Paying legal fees, consulting professionals, and planning reconstruction quickly drained money. The preserve already operated on tight resources, relying on seasonal programs, workshops, and donations to stay open. When the costs increased, the pressure grew. Every adjustment to meet building standards required time, materials, and labor. Because he insisted on keeping the place authentic, he could not simply hire large crews or choose cheap options. This led to delays and more expenses. The financial strain also affected teaching programs, since some areas had to be closed until they met requirements. The possibility of future shutdowns stayed in the background, adding to the stress. Running a large preserve meant dealing with nature in all its forms. Storms damaged certain structures, fallen trees blocked paths, and heavy rainfall caused erosion along trails. Some older buildings required reinforcement as wood aged naturally over time. Even with his expertise, maintaining a wide area of land demanded constant work. Environmental issues built up slowly. The soil in some areas shifted, roofs needed rebuilding, and fences required repair after weather changes. These problems were normal for a large wooden property, but combined with legal and financial stress, they became overwhelming. It was difficult to give proper attention to every part of the preserve while also managing outside pressures. All these struggles affected him deeply. Eustace had spent many decades building Turtle Island Preserve with his own hands, using skills passed down through generations. The thought of losing even a small piece of it was painful. Every structure held meaning. Every trail had a purpose. Watching officials question his methods and demand changes caused emotional strain. The weight of protecting the preserve while educating visitors created constant pressure. He had to stay patient with government systems, teach students, manage staff, repair buildings, and face financial uncertainty at the same time. Supporters noticed his silence during this period, and the lack of updates fueled rumors. Many wondered what was happening because they were used to seeing his steady leadership. The uncertainty spread beyond Turtle Island. People in the survival community discussed the possibility that he might lose parts of the land or reduce programs. His long absence from the public eye made the situation feel even more serious. The issues were not small problems that could be fixed quickly. They were long-term challenges that required time, resources, and cooperation. The combination of legal demands, environmental damage, financial pressure, and emotional weight formed a crisis that was difficult to hide. Supporters waited for clarity while the problems continued to grow. But what exactly did he reveal when he finally decided to speak? The truth he could no longer hold. When Eustace Conway finally broke his silence, many people were shocked not because he spoke too much, but because he usually spoke very little. His life was built on action, discipline, and quiet strength. That made his announcement feel even more serious. For years, he worked hard to hold everything together, but the pressure eventually forced him to speak openly about the difficulties he was facing. In his message, he shared the reality behind the long silence. He explained that the financial strain at Turtle Island had grown beyond what he could manage alone. Legal pressure from building requirements had continued, and the costs of making changes were higher than expected. These challenges affected the preserve's daily operations, educational programs, and long-term planning. He confirmed that the situation had become more urgent than people realized. The announcement made clear that the problems were not temporary. They were part of a larger issue that formed over many years. Because he operated a preserve based on old techniques and natural materials, modern rules required constant updates. Every update demanded money, supplies, and time. The truth was that he could no longer keep up without help. The most difficult part of the announcement involved the possibility of losing parts of Turtle Island. Several structures required repairs that were too expensive for him to complete quickly. Some areas needed reinforcement to meet safety standards. Without these changes, sections of the preserve might have to be closed or removed. The programs that brought people to the land were also at risk. Workshops, school visits, and apprentice programs depended on safe spaces, equipment, and functioning facilities. If he could not maintain them under the rules, they would be forced to stop. This reality was painful for him because the programs were a big part of his mission to teach traditional living skills. He also revealed the emotional weight behind his silence. The years of balancing teaching, building, repairing, meeting legal demands, and handling financial pressure left him exhausted. He had dedicated his entire adult life to this land, and the thought of losing even part of it was difficult. His disappointment came from the clash between his traditional lifestyle and systems that did not understand it. He wanted people to learn from nature, but the complexity of modern regulations made this mission harder. He expressed fear that, without support, his work might be reduced or taken away after so many decades of effort. He explained that staying silent was no longer an option. The issues had reached a point where they could not be hidden, paused, or delayed. If he did not speak, people would not understand the seriousness of the situation. He needed cooperation from supporters, visitors, and those who valued his teachings. His announcement was also a way to protect Turtle Island. By speaking publicly, he hoped to bring attention to the challenges of running a traditional preserve in a modern world. He wanted people to understand how important it was to keep places like Turtle Island alive. The response from supporters was immediate. Fans, apprentices, and people who had visited the preserve began offering help through donations, labor, and awareness campaigns. The media returned to his story, highlighting the difficulties of maintaining an off-grid preserve under modern rules. His announcement also restarted discussions about natural living, self-sufficiency, and the need for more flexible regulations. Many people argued that traditional building methods should be respected and preserved. Others focused on understanding the pressure that came with running such a unique place. After the storm, what happens now? When the truth about Eustace Conway's struggles became public, many people wondered what would happen next. The announcement marked a serious moment, but it was not the end of his mission. Instead, it opened the door to planning, rebuilding, and choosing new directions. Turtle Island Preserve had survived many challenges in the past, and this new stage called for careful decisions, strong teamwork, and renewed commitment to the values that shaped the land from the beginning. After sharing the full situation, Eustace began outlining the next steps to protect the preserve. One of his first goals was to reorganize certain parts of Turtle Island. Some structures needed reinforcement, while others required upgrades to meet safety requirements without losing their traditional design. Reorganization also meant reassessing how programs operated, reviewing which areas needed the most attention, and setting up a plan that matched current conditions. He also looked for new legal pathways that could support the preserve's mission. This included seeking permits that respected natural building methods and finding professionals who understood the balance between tradition and regulation. Updated structures were part of the plan as well. Even though he valued old techniques, he realized that some adjustments were necessary to keep Turtle Island open and safe for visitors. Another important step involved finding outside support. Running a preserve of this size demanded more resources than he could provide alone. Partnerships with educational groups, environmental organizations, or historical preservation programs could help create stability. All these actions showed his willingness to adapt while still protecting the heart of the preserve. As soon as his challenges became public, the community around him reacted strongly. Many volunteers stepped forward to offer help. Some brought building skills, others donated materials, and many gave their time to assist with repairs, land care, and essential maintenance. The support came from people who believed in the purpose of the preserve and understood the value of its lessons. Donations also increased. Supporters organized local fundraisers, created awareness campaigns, and shared information online. These efforts spread quickly because Turtle Island had touched many lives over the years. Every contribution, big or small, helped strengthen the preserve during a difficult period. Fans of the show Mountain Men played a major role as well. Their loyalty extended beyond the television screen, and many of them felt a strong connection to Eustace's life philosophy. Outdoor communities, nature educators, and survivalist groups joined the response, offering both financial support and hands-on assistance. Their involvement showed how deeply his work had influenced people across the country. The situation made it clear that the legacy of Turtle Island was at risk. If the preserve collapsed, much more would be lost than land and buildings. The preserve held decades of teaching, cultural preservation, and environmental awareness. Many people learned skills there that were disappearing from modern society, such as natural farming, woodcraft, shelter building, and deep respect for nature. Traditional knowledge is fragile, and places that teach it are rare. Losing Turtle Island would mean losing a living classroom that bridged the past and the present. It would remove a space where people could disconnect from constant technology and reconnect with physical work, natural rhythms, and simple living. Eustace had dedicated most of his life to protecting these skills. His commitment was not a hobby but a lifelong mission shaped by personal discipline, respect for nature, and a desire to help others understand the land. That dedication made his current challenges feel even heavier, because the future of the preserve represented the future of everything he believed in. Several possible paths lay ahead. One path involved a full rebuild. This option required major funds, long-term labor, and strong cooperation from partners, but it would allow the preserve to stay almost entirely intact. Another path involved restructuring. In this scenario, some programs might change, and certain areas could be redesigned to meet legal requirements while still maintaining traditional values. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.